Welcome back to the Shift RSA. My name is Jean, and today you join me in the Ford Ranger Wildtrak. This is the 2020 model, which means we have a 10-speed gearbox and a 2-liter bi-turbo diesel engine. So everyone has reviewed the Ford Ranger now, and I feel like it's very easy to make a generic review of a car like this, or a bakkie rather, but I want to do things differently today. I want to try and review this bakkie from the perspective of someone who is just entering the market. In other words, someone who is now for the first time looking at buying a Ford Ranger or a bakkie for that matter. Not someone who already owns a bakkie and just needs a new one. And the reason I'm doing this is because high cars in general, like crossovers, SUVs and pickups, bakkies or utes, wherever you're from, have become very popular these days. And I think it's linked to people being very adventurous and wanting cars that suit their lifestyles. And for that reason, I'm going to review this bakkie as though I am looking at purchasing one coming from a normal car, normal family car or hatchback or whatever the case may be. So what is the Ford Ranger Wildtrak? Why does it have that Wildtrak designation? So in the simplest of terms, this is basically a Ford Ranger double cab pickup that went to private school. I know that's a crude comparison, but basically all it means is that this is like your normal Ford Ranger double cab, but it has much nicer trimmings inside. It's very premium in here, and you get some exterior sort of trim upgrades as well. You could really consider it like a range topping version of one of their products. So let's talk headline figures. This bi-turbo 2-liter diesel makes 157 kilowatts and 500 newton meters of torque. And that power is sent to the wheels via a 10-speed gearbox. I'm going to tell you more about that gearbox a little bit later, and I'll try and help you understand why you need 10 gears in a bakkie, or in a car for that matter. To all the foreigners watching this video, in our country, in South Africa, we refer to pickups as bakkies, and it's derived from the Afrikaans word bakkie, which essentially means bowl, which refers to the bed on the back of the vehicle where you keep all your stuff. It sort of resembles a container, something you might eat out of, as we call it, a bakkie. Okay, that's not particularly exciting, but this is a bakkie. I highly doubt, it is a pickup, sorry. I highly doubt you're going to be racing anyone or trying to set quarter-mile times or anything, but this is more than enough power to keep up with traffic and even get ahead if you need to. And in a pickup, you really want to use your power differently to how you would in a normal car. It's not all about speeding, but it is about very effortlessly moving along, whether you have a load in the back or whether you're pulling something. Look, I don't think you'll ever be at a loss for power in the Ranger. It's very effortless in the way that it drives, in the way that it cruises, and I think they've done a good job in mating that gearbox to that engine. Now let's get onto the gearbox. 10 speed sounds like a lot, 10 gears, but if you consider the fact that this car is using a 2-liter bi-turbo diesel, sometimes to make up for that loss in capacity, you really want some options in terms of gearing. You want to know that when you are pulling a load or moving along, that you're going to have all the power you need when you need it, and the only way to do that is to provide a gear for that specific need. And one very clever thing that people won't know about this gearbox is that it has a setting. If you press here on the side of the shifter knob, you'll see there's a plus symbol and a minus symbol. If you hit that, essentially what you're doing is you are selecting which gear you want to be your maximum gear while you're driving. If you're pulling a trailer or a caravan and it's heavy, you don't necessarily want to lug the turbo, you don't necessarily want to labor the engine, so you don't want to be stuck in 10th gear trying to get up a steep or long hill and essentially laboring your engine, making it work harder than it needs to. So you select a maximum gear and you simply go along. The engine remains stress-free. Well, not stress-free, but you're not asking it to do anything it can't do, which is very intuitive. So as far as the engine and gearbox are concerned, I think it really suits the package. I think it really suits this form factor, and I think a lot of people are going to be very happy with the kind of power it makes, the way the power gets delivered, and how easy it is to drive around. I feel like anyone could drive this car, and that's a good thing. it really helps you appeal to a broad market. No one will feel intimidated by driving it. Granted, you have to get used to the dynamics of the car because it is quite big, but once you're used to it, you'll have a very good relaxed time driving it. Another compliment I must give this engine is the fact that it's quite quiet. You'll find pickups and diesel cars in general tend to have a very unsavory sound. It just sounds clickety clackety and it sounds like it's just really working hard. Whereas in the Wildtrak, I don't get that sensation. It's very good at disguising the fact that this is a diesel pickup. Not that we're trying to run away from that fact, because when you buy this, that's essentially what you want. But it's nice just to have that sort of phased out of the driving experience. Once again, just contributing to a very relaxed and very comfortable drive. The bi-turbo setup in the Wildtrak works well for me because you get that low end torque. Once the second turbo kicks in and you're in the higher half of the rev range, you're well on your way. You still have power available even if you need to pass on the highway. Let's move on to handling and comfort. I would say it's probably as good as you would expect to find in a pickup. You do have a ladder frame and leaf springs in the back, which is very typical for buckies and pickups, and you can only do so much with that platform. But it's very comfortable in here, and I think they've done a good job at mimicking a sort of more comfortable, more saloon type drive, if that makes any sense. Small bumps do tend to set you into a bit of a recoil where, especially in the back, if you go over a big bump, instead of settling down nicely after the bump, you do tend to get a bit of a... But I mean, you can expect that. You've bought a pickup truck, it's going to happen. One compliment I can definitely give Ford is the fact that the steering in this car is very direct. It's very light, but it really just goes where you point it. There's no vagueness in the steering, even though it's all electronic. There's no vagueness whatsoever. It's very direct. If I quickly need to swerve out the way, I can very easily do it. And that also brings me on to the fact that this car did exceptionally well in the Moose test. If you don't know what the Moose test is, I'm going to show you a quick video of that here. And if you want to see other cars go through this test, follow the link in the description, because it's a very important thing to know when you buy a new car. In the event I have to swerve out the way of something, or something runs into the road, or a person, or a stationary vehicle you weren't expecting, it's important to know that you can defensively swerve without being at risk of actually rolling your vehicle. One very comforting thing, and you can ask any South African about this, is the fact that any pickup or bucky or SUV that you buy gives you a very slight bit of confidence. It's not unique to the Wildtrak, but it is something to consider if you are entering this market, and that is the fact that you're sitting pretty high. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're more safe because you're more isolated from the road. It also doesn't mean that because you're seated higher than other cars that you are safer, essentially. But it makes you feel safer, and for me that's almost enough. You get a very good view out ahead of you over the road, so if you are buying a pickup, that's something you can look forward to. One thing I really appreciate is the fact that Ford has gone the extra mile to make sure that the Ranger is well insulated. The reason I say that is because the kind of tires that buckies drive on can make quite a bit of noise on the road, and it can be quite intrusive in the cabin. Not just that, but pickups aren't very aerodynamic, so you might find some wind noise as well. And considering all those things, it's very quiet in here, and you really do feel insulated, and I really like that. Just because if I am going to be driving around a lot, it's nice to know that it's going to be relaxing, it's going to be quiet, and it also just gives the car a very premium feel. Nothing's rattling, there's no noise other than the engine, and just enough noise from outside for you to be aware of your surroundings. Let me take a minute quickly to tell you about the interior in this car, and just to give you an idea of what it feels like to be in here. So first and foremost, being the Wildtrak trim level, you have very nice contrasting stitching. You've got leather, very soft leather on the dashboard, soft leather on the steering wheel. You've got little orange accents everywhere in the car. You have a nice embroidered Wildtrak emblem here on the backrest. The seats have leather on them, and it's got quite a cool sort of dual tone texture thing going on. You've got the Wildtrak here on the dashboard. Everything feels premium in here, and you don't always associate that with pickups and buckies. So it's very refreshing to be in a place like this, to be this high up off the ground, and then to have all of these sort of luxury attributes. I really like that. One of the features I really enjoy and that I was surprised to find in the Wildtrak is adaptive cruise control, which essentially means that as I'm cruising on the highway, it scans the road ahead and it makes sure that I don't hit anything or that I don't creep up too close to another car. In other words, it's going to slow the Ranger down as I approach a car in front of me. And I think that's a very useful feature, because in South Africa, Ford Ranger drivers really like to see how close they can get to you. There's no point in getting mad, you know I'm right. So you're considering a pickup, and as is the case with GoPros, the epic lifestyle isn't included. So it's up to you to go out and seek some adventure. I think the Wildtrak is going to be a very faithful companion in that sense, because it's going to allow you to go wherever you want to go. And for that reason, I think it's important that we go and find some nice muddy, slippery roads and really put those capabilities to the test. Okay, so we find ourselves at the Henops 4x4 trail, and I think this is a good place to really put the Wildtrak to the test. I have this dial here at the bottom, which allows me to choose between two-wheel drive with the high range mode in the gearbox, four-wheel drive with the high range mode, and four-wheel drive with the low range mode. What that means is, in four-wheel drive in high range mode, if I anticipate that I might need some extra grip going up a hill, but I'm not going to be going particularly slow, in other words I won't be crawling, I just put it in four-wheel drive in high range mode. And then if I find myself in a very tricky and technical sort of, let's say, a hill with a very loose surface, then I use four-wheel drive in the low range mode. What that's going to do is it's going to provide me with a kind of crawling power delivery, which is going to help me edge my way up a loose surface. Considering the fact that the context of this review is from someone that is new to 4x4ing or the whole pickup and bucky lifestyle, or whatever you want to call it, considering that, I think it's useful to have features like these, just so that an amateur like myself can still have a bit of fun, but have the confidence to do it without necessarily wrecking my new bucky. So far, nothing too unfamiliar. I don't know if anyone that buys a 4x4 or their first 4x4 will ever experience much more than this. I am managing to go up this hill with relative ease. I haven't had a loss of traction yet, even though the surface is quite loose. Alright, I'm going to make my way just a little further up this trail just so I can see what the Wildtrak is willing to put up with. Okay, so once again, I'm going up this little hill. I am in low range mode, and so far I have nothing to complain about. The car is pretty much doing all the work. Well, not the car, the bucky. Even though it's a little bit bumpy, I don't seem to have any issues getting up here. I wish you could see how steep this was, because I promise I'm not making it up. Up. There we go. Completely effortless. One feature I definitely want to utilize quickly, because I want to see how it works, is the hill descent. So, or rather the hill descent assistant. In other words, when you are descending, it basically helps you by sort of edging forwards at a pace that's safe, and that will guarantee you make it to the bottom without too much drama. So I've got a bit of a downhill here. I'm quickly going to hit the button. It lets me know that the hill descent control is ready. I take my foot entirely off the brake and the accelerator, which means I'm putting a lot of confidence in the bucky now. But it's doing a great job. It's making a funny noise. I wonder what that is. But it's allowing me to navigate or to focus just on navigating around the rocks here and do it with confidence. That's quite cool. It is going a bit slow though. I wonder if that's necessary. Maybe I should leave it up to the bakkie. Maybe I should leave it up to the pickup. While I'm doing this off-road test, I'm not looking for parking. One thing I must say is the fact that this is... How do I turn that off? One thing I must say is the fact that it is so beautiful out here. This is my kind of weather. I love it when it's misty and rainy and overcast. That for me is exploring weather. And this environment is incredible. One of South Africa's biggest attributes is the fact that we have such beautiful wildlife. And the fact that I get to explore it now is what's really special to me. I would never be able to come down this road in my own car. And the Ranger, this one, is allowing me to come and explore this lovely countryside in such a cool way. It's allowing me to get down here. It's getting me over the rough and tough stuff. And it's very confidence inspiring in that way. And it's making the whole trip quite special to me, which is very cool. Whoa. Here's another place to use the hill descent assist, because it's very rocky down here. You probably can't see, but it's very steep as well. So I think I'll let the bakkie, maybe let me not let go of the wheel, but I'll let the bakkie do the work. Yes. Yes. I am not doing a thing besides turning the wheel a little bit. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, that's enough of that. To conclude then, I think the Ford Ranger Wildtrak will be a very good companion to someone who is looking to add a bit of adventure to their life and who wants a nice premium product. It's very capable in what it can do off-road and in the way that it helps you. It's a very comfortable thing to drive every single day. I think it's a product that's been refined over many generations, and I think at this point it ticks as many boxes as it can. I think this segment is very competitive already. You have the Volkswagen Amarok, you've got the Toyota Hilux, you've got the Nissan Navara, you've got the Mercedes-Benz Class. But I think it's a very competitive segment, and I think to remain competitive, I think you really have to go the extra mile, and I think Ford has done that with this product. I think the Wildtrak is everything you'd want it to be. It's comfortable, it's economic, it's quick enough, it's very capable off-road. I think it'll make a great family car, and for that reason I'm very happy that I finally took the step to drive one of these and to properly review them, because it answers some questions that I had as well. Can you live with one of these? Can you transition from a normal family hatchback or sedan to a bakkie easily enough? And the answer is yes, you can. It's quite a very nice transition, especially if you're like me and you like to be adventurous and do things at the last minute and plan a road trip or go somewhere exotic or head into nature. For that reason, I think that transition is very easy, and it's one I might even make in the future. I think some of my friends would be very quick to lash me for saying that, but I think you have to drive one of these to understand what it's all about, and I think you have to be ready for this lifestyle. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the review. I hope you get my sense of humor at least, and that you have some fun watching. I really enjoy making these videos. I'd like to say thank you to Action Ford in Krugersdorp for allowing me to drive and test this. I really hope we have a good relationship going forwards. Please remember to like, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and really don't be afraid to talk to me in the comments or send me a message if you want to. I'm very keen to engage with you guys. Thank you for all the support so far. Stay safe out there on the roads.